This is the making of his reflection. I was divorced for the second time in December 2003, and I felt like I had come to another major crossroad in my life. I wanted to finally get this life right, and yet I had absolutely no idea how that was going to unfold. I was so sad, feeling the heaviness of intense loss, and I found myself searching deeply for my purpose. I wanted to know exactly why I was put here on this earth. What was my destiny anyway? Above all, I needed to know and understand who I am. So one night, early in January 2004, I lit my room full of candles, put my favorite song on repeat. Everything was pretty much perfect, and I was excited to sit down and get cozy and write a heart-filled masterpiece. I crawled into my bed and piled my pillows behind me where I was sitting Indian style, and I realized at that moment that I was blank. How could that be? And I scribbled some words that made sense to me when I was thinking them, but then once I wrote them onto the paper, no matter how hard I wanted them to make sense, they just didn't. Then, without warning, the hot tears began to stream down my face. I felt the overwhelming pain leaking out through my eyeballs, and yet the tears only seemed to be the gateway that would light the way into my heart. It was a place that overflowed just like the tears that were pouring uncontrollably down my face. However, what overflowed from within my heart was everything I had spent my entire life doing, whatever possible to shut down, change, overcome, and avoid. So there I was, face to face with myself, and I had a choice to make. I could either continue walking through the pain and the gripping, suffocating fear in order to reach my heart, or I could get frustrated that I was numb and I couldn't seem to connect to the inspiration that I so desperately wanted. I was desperate to know who I am and what it was going to take for me to bravely journey into my own heart. I needed to find out what was really holding me back. And that's when it hit me. Who I am has everything to do with the one who created me. And without acknowledging him, I knew I would never be able to tap into my life's purposes and meaning. I love God, and I always have. I've always felt like I was supposed to love him, but there were pieces of me that really believed I could do this life on my own. My ego and foolish pride only masked my deep rooted fears. And I began to think that confidence and determination were the keys that would open the doors, making all of my dreams come true. What I didn't realize was that without character and integrity as my foundation, just having confidence and determination is enough to make you rise to the top, but not enough to keep you from falling. In fact, I see just how dangerous it is to rely on confidence and determination to lead the way. Because without integrity, there is no regard for others or creating lasting, healthy relationships in life and in business. Without character, there is no standard. There is no ethic. Usually, little use for things like loyalty and honor, and lack of empathy and compassion, the ability to connect with others and relate. It becomes all about me rather than what can we do. While being confident and having determination are very important, it takes character and integrity to create the lifelines that make boundaries that you won't cross under any circumstance or at any cost. I was tired of selling out, and I always had what it took just to get me so far. And then when it came time to keeping my word or living everything I professed to be as a Christian and who I was, I pretty much choked every single time. I made excuses. I didn't feel like it. My mood shifted, and I tried to find the easiest way that would still take me to the places where I wanted to go without having to do all the necessary work and jump through the hoops to get there. Then I started thinking about all the opportunities I've been given throughout my life and how many times I've let them slip right through my hands. Despite my passion and determination for living life to the fullest, my heart was still empty. And no matter what I did or where I went, there were still parts of me that remained empty and lifeless. I knew that I was given the ability to conquer anything that came my way, because it says so in Philippians 4:13 that I can do all things through Jesus who gives me strength. But the ultimate quest was to figure out what my life meant and who I really am. I began to write. As I remembered how many things have come and gone, I also remembered how many times I really believed that this would be the one, the one that was going to launch me straight to the top. I dreamed of great successes and stardom. With that, the words began flowing faster than I could legibly jot onto my notebook paper. For the first time ever, I finally began to see the big picture within my life. I saw that success is not what I thought it was at all. I understood that success isn't found in how much money you make, the kind of car you drive, or how accomplished you are. It isn't about your credentials, how long you've worked at your job, your tenure, your pension, how big your house is. It isn't even about how well behaved your children are, and it has absolutely nothing to do with their achievements or my hopes for them becoming a reality. For pretty much all of my life, I believed that you have become successful when you finally have and can do XYZ, which is basically anything and everything you want to do. I guess that's why I was always focused on getting somewhere, as if making it there was the grand finale or the holy grail. My life continues to change as I remember that true success is not a final destination where I'm all done once I arrive. That's more like booking a vacation to Tahiti. True success, I've found, comes moment by moment, and through it, thought by thought. It comes when I'm willing to stop looking at everything I don't have and all that I think I can't do, to look through my life and see everything I do have and everything I can do. Success is learning how to look in the mirror and love what I see, even when it feels uncomfortable, to see something other than what I dream of being or know I used to be. Success is when I decide to do the quality of work that I know I would do and give if I were making $100,000 a year or high six figures a year rather than $7.50 an hour, or maybe nothing at all. Success comes when you find things that you would really like about yourself. The words began flowing faster than I could legibly jot onto my notebook paper. For the first time ever, I began to see the bigger picture within my life. I saw that success is not what I thought it was. I understood that success isn't found in how much money I make, the kind of car I drive, or how accomplished I am. It's not about how long you've worked at your job, your tenure, or how big your house is. It isn't even about how well behaved your children are, and it has absolutely nothing to do with their achievements or your hopes for them becoming a reality. For pretty much all of my life, I believed that you have become successful when you finally have and can do XYZ or whatever you want. I guess that's why I was always focused on getting somewhere, as if making it there was the grand finale, the holy grail. My life continues to change as I remember that true success is not a final destination where I'm done once I arrive. That's more like booking a vacation to Tahiti. True success, I have find, comes moment by moment, and thought by thought. It comes when I'm willing to stop looking at everything I don't have and think that I can't do, and look through my life to see everything I do have and what I can do right now. Success is learning how to look in the mirror and love what you see, even when it feels uncomfortable, to see something other than what you dream of being or know that you used to be. Success is when you decide to do the quality of work you know you would give if you were making six figures a year while still making $7.50 an hour, or maybe even nothing at all. Success comes when you find things that you really like about yourself and you spend your time thinking about those things. And success can be found in humbling yourself when you've acted like an ass to your children, and instead of going to them to say, I'm sorry, working to never forget how they felt when you did whatever it was that you did. And then you live that sorry by changing what you do instead of just blanketing your behavior with some words that make you feel better about yourself. Who I am has nothing to do with whether I succeed at things. I'm alive. The miracle of life, I believe, is the greatest success of all, because only life can be born from life. But the flip side of that is that life also springs up from the very place where there's death. In fact, there can be no resurrection until there is a death. God shaped us and then breathed his life into us so that we could live. So it is with us and everything we think, do, and desire. We are constantly creating, breathing our life into everything and everyone around us. Everything we have, feel, and are responsible for is a success. Success is usually thought to be something that can only be good. However, what we think about, we give life to. And what we don't realize we think about, we also breathe our life into. If something is miserable, it's still a success because it's working to make you miserable. It grows and begins affecting everything as if it has been given a life of its own. And once I realized that I was responsible for the very things that I was so irritated by or hated more than anything, I knew that I was the only one who would ever be able to change how I felt. I can't control anyone other than me, and it has taken the greater part of my natural life to really acknowledge that and believe that. Beyond that, if the things in my life were ever going to be different and not just look different, I knew I was going to have to get the help I so desperately needed so that I could have the tools to change the direction of my current success. It wasn't until I was finally willing to see how I had successfully ripped my entire life and family apart that I saw just how powerful I am and how powerful we have been created to be. I had no idea that everything in my life was the result of my creation. I chose, I gave it life, and yet I wanted to blame someone else when things went south. All this time I had become ultra successful in pretty much every area of my life and never even knew it. Of course, it wasn't the kind of success I had always wanted, but sadly, I was living the powerful success of misery, destruction, and everything that eventually became my worst nightmare. That threw me, because I had created the monster, and that monster wasn't anything or anyone else. That was me. But that isn't who or what I wanted to be. At least that's what I told myself and spent most of my life telling everyone else. Because the truth is always simple, and it's usually the last thing we really want, because knowing the truth really does prompt action. It was always easier for me to say I wanted things than to change to whatever it would take to face my past, immerse myself in the present, stop lying to myself, and understand that the only one I was in a battle for my life against was me. What I discovered about myself was that my habits, my reactions, being on autopilot was more in control of me than I was of myself. And that's a very scary place to be. No wonder why I always felt that I was a victim at the hands of everything and everyone else. I live in my own body, yet I was totally out of control because I was trying to control everyone else instead of focusing on what I could do. Since I believe my problems were because of everyone else, I never imagined how getting help was going to make a difference for me because, after all, they were the problem. What I didn't know was that until I was willing to see the truth about myself, I would never really be able to know who I am. I thought about how strongly I believed that I had a purpose that I had been given to fulfill, and just how far away from it I felt I was from any of it. I finally saw that it would be up to me and my choices to discover each and every gift and talent, the abilities that God has placed within me. And suddenly, at that point, things started making sense. My desires and thoughts, my ideas and dreams, the longings that I had, the questions and hopes that have permeated every fiber of my being for what feels more like an eternity than just a lifetime. I'm pretty sure that regardless of how awesome all the things are that I hope to do or become in my life, that there was no amount of hoping, wishing, or dreaming that was going to drop my dreams fully assembled into my lap